The rain hammered against the diner's plate glass window, a relentless percussion against the quiet hum of a Tuesday afternoon. Elias Thorne nursed a lukewarm coffee, the bitter taste doing little to dispel the lingering chill that seemed to permeate his very bones. He's been back a week from Blackwood Estate, and the normalcy of the simple diner felt like a cruel joke. The neon sign above the counter flickered, casting a sickly yellow light on his face. He's been trying to shake the memory of the chamber, the music box, the woman, fractured and desperate. A newsboy, soaked to the bone, hurried through the door, shaking the water from his cap. "Extra! Extra!" he shouted, his voice thin and reedy. Blackwood Estate investigation suspended, local authorities baffled. He slapped a damp newspaper onto the counter. Elias scanned the headline, a weary cynicism settling over him. The official story was always a sanitized version of the truth. "Anything interesting?" he asked, tossing the nickel to the boy. The newsboy shrugged. They found more strange symbols carved into the walls, said it looked like some kind of ritual chamber. Locals are saying it's haunted. Elias scoffed, but the boy's words resonated with a disturbing familiarity. Asterisk haunted asterisk. They were right, of course. It asterisk was asterisk haunted, not by ghosts, but by something far more terrifying. A sudden rapping on the window startled him. He looked up to see a familiar figure standing in the rain. Silas, the groundskeeper from Blackwood Estate. He wore a long, dark coat, the collar turned up against the downpour. His face was shadowed, unreadable. "Mr. Thorne," Silas said, his voice low and gravelly. "I need to speak with you." Elias finished his coffee and pushed back from the table. "What is it, Silas? I thought I settled all accounts with Blackwood Estate." "There are matters that require your expertise," Silas replied, ushering him into a faded Packard parked across the street. The interior smelled of damp wool and something vaguely medicinal. "Expertise in what?" Elias asked, settling into the passenger seat. "In understanding certain things," Silas said, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. "Things Mr. Abernathy wouldn't comprehend." The drive was silent and unsettling. The rain intensified, blurring the street lights into hazy halos. They turned off the main road and onto a narrow, winding lane, the darkness pressing in on either side. Finally, they pulled up to a sprawling Victorian mansion shrouded in mist and overgrown with ivy. It was Silas's residence, a stark contrast to the decaying grandeur of Blackwood Estate. "What is this place?" Elias asked, his voice barely a whisper. "My home," Silas replied, gesturing towards the imposing facade. "And the key to understanding everything." He led Elias inside. The interior was surprisingly well maintained, the air thick with the scent of beeswax and old books. Silas guided him through a maze of corridors, finally stopping before a heavy oak door. "I need you to see something, Mr. Thorne," Silas said, his voice taking on a peculiar urgency. He opened the door, revealing a dimly lit study. The walls were lined with shelves overflowing with ancient tomes and strange artifacts. In the center of the room sat a tall, impeccably dressed man, the caretaker. He turned slowly, his eyes fixed on Elias. They were cold and unsettlingly intense. "Mr. Thorne," the caretaker said, his voice smooth and controlled. "A pleasure to finally meet you." "Who is this?" Elias asked, his hand instinctively reaching inside his coat. "A friend," Silas replied, his voice strained. "A colleague of Alistair's. He's familiar with the complexities of his work." "Alistair was a brilliant man, but misguided," the caretaker said, his gaze unwavering. "He sought to improve reality, to create a harmony." "The harmony," Elias echoed, a shiver running down his spine. "The place I was taken." The caretaker smiled, a thin, unsettling curve of his lips. "You experienced a glimpse of his masterpiece, a nascent reality crafted from the echoes of consciousness." "And what does this have to do with me?" Elias asked, his voice laced with suspicion. "You have a resonance, Mr. Thorne," the caretaker replied. "A certain affinity for the frequencies that govern reality. You are susceptible to influence." Suddenly, a mournful note drifted through the room, the unmistakable melody of the music box. It seemed to emanate from the shadows, a ghostly echo of the terror he's experienced. "The music box," Elias whispered, his hand instinctively clenching. "Where is it?" "It's nearby," Silas said, his voice tight with regret. Alistair felt it needed recalibration. A flash of movement caught Elias's eye. He saw a fleeting glimpse of a woman standing in the shadows, her face a mask of fractured memories and desperate pleas. It was the Fragmented Woman, the one he's briefly allied with in the Harmony. "Help me," she whispered, her voice a fragile echo. "He's using it again." Before Elias could react, the room began to warp. The walls seemed to breathe, the shadows deepened, and the air crackled with an unnatural energy. The mournful note of the music box grew louder, a siren's call to the abyss. "What are you doing?" Elias demanded, struggling to maintain his balance. "Recalibrating the frequencies, Mr. Thorne," the caretaker replied, his eyes gleaming with a chilling intensity. "Strengthening the connection, bringing the harmony closer." The floor beneath Elias's feet tilted, and he felt a surge of disorientation. He looked down to see that his hands were changing, twisting into grotesque parodies of human limbs. He cried out, a strangled gasp of terror. "It's too late," Silas said, his voice a mournful sigh. "He's already begun."